3, 2, 1. Hey, what is happening, guys? So in this video, we're gonna extend from our previous video, from our previous login form, and we'll create this. So we're going to go from this to this. And the difference is, you see the label, they will hover out of the, actually the placeholder will hover out of the input box. Also the password will hover out of the input box. We'll also include this OR. So you could log in with your new username and password or log in with Facebook or LinkedIn. Well, we're not going to actually be able to log in with Facebook or LinkedIn because we don't have a database. This could be a next project for me. But if we click on Facebook, this will send us to Facebook. And if we click on LinkedIn, this will send us to LinkedIn. Okay, we will also, after we insert a username and a password, whatever this password would be, if we click on login, this will send us to our welcome page. Okay, so if you haven't seen the previous videos, I will put the link in the description below. This is the third part of the video. So in the previous two videos, we just created this simple login form and make this drop-down effect by using JavaScript and also some animation effects. Okay, let's really quickly go over our HTML. So we created a section with a form container. In this we have a form, and up here, so here we have our user icon. Then we have our form, which contains this login, label, input, label again, input again for the password, then the checkbox, the label for the remember me, and then down here we have the submit button and two links for forgot the password and create a new account. Okay, first thing that we need to do here is actually delete these placeholders. So from the username, we'll delete, from the input for the user, we'll delete the placeholder and also from the password. Let me just take this and this placeholder. So from the input text and input password. And now we'll take the labels and actually cut them down and place them underneath our placeholders or underneath our inputs. So let's copy the second label, cut it out and paste it underneath our input with the password. Now we will wrap this two into divs. So let's create a div with a class of input dash field and also a subclass of user. Okay, let's take this out, cut it out and paste it in after our label. Now let's do the same thing for the input for the password. So create a div with a class of input field and a subclass of password. Cut out the closing div and pasted it after this. Actually, put here comment, so this is password. And up here we'll have user. And as always, we will find the entire HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, so the entire code within the description below, so you can download it for them. Okay, now let's go down. So this is still working, but the labels are now underneath our two input fields. Now let's take care of these two buttons down here. Or actually, let's style this first. So the two input fields. And for this, we're going to go into our CSS. And let's go down here and put in a comment with part 3, including social login, and label transition effect. Now first let's change something up here. So go where you have your user login, the form input type submit. We are looking for the submit. There we go. And we'll give this a box shadow of 0, 0, 10 pixels, 2 pixels, and black. So now we have this box shadow for our submit button. Okay, now let's go completely down. And I actually want to take this class first of all of reminder because I forgot to put for this a hover effect. So let's just see, go back into our HTML, where do we have it? Checkbox, and let's give this a class, not the input but the label. Let's give this a class of remember. Now let's take this class, so we're actually taking care of this right here. Go back to our CSS and just set it to cursor pointer. So this is the first step. So when we hover, the cursor is pointing, as you can remember, if we check the label, also the checkbox checks. Okay, now let's also include, I just want to really quickly include the OR here in our HTML. And this is right after our submit button. And within here, I'm just going to create a label tag, and we'll give this a class of OR. And also type within here dash or dash. Now let's take this class of or, go into our CSS, and let's give this a text align to the center. So let me have this opened. And let's increase the font size to 1.2 rem. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this. So let's now take care of this input tags. I'm gonna take the class of form container again. And I'm going to increase the height of it to 580 pixels. The initial height of this was actually, let me go up here, form container. Where do we have it? Submit, more, form container, there we have it. So the container that is around this form had the initial height of 520 pixels, and now I'm going to increase it to 580 pixels. So in order for all of this to have space within it. And because in CSS, everything that is underneath an initial property is overwritten, this will take effect then. Now we'll take the class of login form, and within this, we're gonna target the input and the immediate class of user. We will give this a height of 100% of its container and also a width of 100%. We'll increase the font size to 1.2 rem. We'll give it a transition of 0.5 seconds. Also a border radius of 25 pixels. And when we click in it, we have this outline, and I want to get rid of it. So for this, I'm just going to type in outline none. Now let's take a look. Now let's also give it a box shadow, not sizing, shadow of inset 0.05 pixels, 1 pixel, and black. And this will give us a box shadow in the interior. And I actually forgot to give the input tags, the input and the labels, the class of user. So let's go back into our HTML, and for this input, for this label, for this input, and for this label, so for the user and the password, I'm going to include a class of user. This label already has it, and let's include it also in the input tag. Okay, so now we have our inset box shadow and a background color of red, because this is taking automatically effect because we defined somewhere up here that all the labels with the class of user should have a background color of red, unfocused. Now I also want this to have a bit of a background color because you can't see exactly where the input is. So in order to bring this just a bit out, I'm going to give this a background color. So the two inputs of user and password of a RGBA this time of 225. So complete red, 0 for the blue and the green, and the alpha of 0.2. You can see now we have this tinge of red in the background. Okay, now this part is a bit more complicated. I'm going to take the class of login form, and when we focus, then the label with the class of user, and let's copy this. Also when it's valid, and also the login form with the input with the class of user when it's focused. And the last thing we need is when the input in the class of user is valid. Then it should translate on the y-axis with -50 pixels. And it should go from its initial font size to a font size of 1 rem and the color white. We just need to position them correctly, but you can already see this taking effect. If you didn't type in here white. Okay, now let's position the labels. So within our login form, actually I could just copy this. The class of login form, the label, the class of user, so both labels should have a position relative from the top -20 pixels, and now translate on the y-axis again with -50%. Now they're pushed in the middle, and now let's just give them a padding to the left of 1 rem. So let's go with the font size of 1.1 rem and with a color of dark gray. And I also want to give them now a transition of 0.5 seconds. Okay, so now if we click in it, and the last thing we need is a pointer event of none. Now if we click on it, you can see the label transitioning to the top, changing its font size and also changing its color from gray to white. Okay, so this takes care of this part. Now let's take care of this too. So the Facebook and the LinkedIn buttons. And for this, we're going to go back into our HTML, and right above our inputs, and right above this class of more, we're now going to create a div with the class of links. And within this, we'll create another div with the class of Facebook. And this is where our Facebook link will live. So for this, we'll create an href, so an anchor tag, and we will send it to https://www.facebook.com and / again. Now within our anchor tag, we'll now create the icon tag with a class of fa-Facebook. And I'm actually using Font Awesome for this. So you need to have the Font Awesome or included, but you do have it if you followed along with the previous videos, because this icon tag is also from Font Awesome. So we already have our Facebook right here. And now staying within our I tag, so our Facebook class, create a span tag And within this, we'll type in Facebook. Now for the LinkedIn, it's pretty much the same thing. So I'm just going to copy this div and just replace everything with LinkedIn. Okay, now let's take a look. So we have our Facebook and our LinkedIn. Okay, that's pretty much it for the HTML. Now let's jump into our CSS and we'll type in here social links alt login. Now let's grab on to our class of links. So within the class or login form, the class of links, we will display them as flex. So we have them flexed into a row. Now we'll give them a cursor event of pointer. And I just want to push them down just a tinge, so I will give them a margin from the top of 1 rem. Now let's take the class of login form again. And now we're going to target the links class. And within this, the class of Facebook. And I'm just going to copy this. And we will also target the class of LinkedIn. Now again, I'm going to display them as flex. We'll justify the content to the center and also justify the items to the center. Now give them a height of 40 pixels, a width of 100% of their container, and let's give them a border of 1 pixel solid black, a margin of 0 top and bottom, and 10 pixel left and right. Now let's align the text to the center. Give me a background color of transparent, a box shadow of 004 pixels, and 1 pixel black. And now let's just give them a border radius of 25 pixels. Okay, the last thing we need to do here is align the items also to the center. This will push our links into the center of their container. Now let's take care of the text within them. And for this, we're just going to copy this to again. So within our login form, the classes of links, we'll now target in each one of them the span tag. Now I'll just take this out and give them a padding from the left of 0.5 rem, a font weight of 700, and let's change the font family to Sergio UI. Now let's target the icons within them, and also, so within the Facebook, the first item, the first icon, and the span. So Facebook span. And now let's give them a color. Let's give this a Facebook color with hash 4267b2. And let's increase the font size to large. And let's also give this a transition all 0.5 seconds and ease in. So let's see what this does. So when it appears, the text has a bit of transition, as you can see. Let's actually take care of the entire Facebook button. Because the next thing we need to include is this hover effect. And for this, I'm just going to copy this. So the class of login between the links and the class of Facebook, and when we hover over it, want the border to have a 1 pixel, so to change the border from that dark to 1 pixel solid and the color of this Facebook. You can see the border changing now. Now let's change also the background color to the same color. So the hash of 4267b2, and also the box shadow. So it no longer has this dark back shadow block. And for the box shadow, we're going to go with the same color as this, so it will no longer have this black box shadow. I'm just going to type in 0, 0, 3 pixels, 1 pixel, and the same color. Let's hover over it. You can see the shade changing and the background color changing. Now let's take care of the text within it. And for this, we're going to copy this again. But now we want, when we hover over it, the icon, and when we hover over this class, also the span tag. I'm just going to take all of this out and just type in color white. Now let's take a look at this. Actually refresh again. Sometimes Visual Studio Code is having problems, but you can see as we hover over it, the background color changes to that Facebook color, and now the text and the icon changes to white with the transition effect. Okay, now let's do the same thing for the LinkedIn. And actually, I'm just going to copy all of this here. And let's put in here a comment. So this was for Facebook icon, and this would be, let's copy this again. And this would be for LinkedIn. And now I'm just going to replace everywhere where it's Facebook, I'm going to replace it by, so I don't know if you notice or not, but if you click on a text and it's repeated within the code, then just hold down Ctrl D and the next one is selected. Now let's replace it with LinkedIn and also replace the color with the LinkedIn color. And for this, I'm just going to take all of the colors and type in hash 0092BB. Okay, so this takes care of these two. And now if we click on them, that sends us to Facebook. And if we click on LinkedIn, well, let's check, and sends us to LinkedIn. Okay, the last thing that we need to do is when we type in here a name and a password and hit login, will no longer send us to Google, but send us to the home page. And for this, we're just going to create another HTML. And we're going to call this home.html. And I'm actually going to, from our index, now let's just create a boilerplate. And up here, we're going to name it home. And for the body, we also need to copy in. I'm just going to copy in all of our links. So this is happening. And now let's create a header tag. With the ID of home. And within our header tag, we're just going to create an H1 with welcome. And now we're going to go back into our index. And up here, when we had our action for our form, we're going to delete this link to Google. And we're just going to type in the index of home. And now let's see if we type something in here and in here for the password and click login. This will send us to home out, and we actually have to style this. So let's go back into our CSS. Let's introduce here a comment of homepage. And we're just going to take the ID of home. And within this, the H1, and give this a color of white and a font size of 5 rem, and also a text aligned to the center. And actually, let's increase this to 10 rem. Font size 10 rem. And that's pretty much it. So let's go back to our login. Hit login again, and the home page appears. Okay guys, so that's pretty much it for the tutorial. Hope that you enjoyed it. If you liked it, thumbs up, hit that like button. If you didn't, hit that dislike button. If you'd like to see more content like this, then please subscribe to my channel and also hit that notification bell in order to get notified whenever I post a video like this. So see you in the next one. Bye bye.